Hello, everyone. Two major pieces of news attracted my attention today. One is the use of a new type of drone by the Russian troops, and the other one is the shelling of yet another nuclear power station. This one is in the city of Khmelnitsk. So let's take a look. So multiple sources are talking about the drone situation. Basically, it appears that these are the ITLAMOS longer range, harder to detect drones. And we mentioned before that they are getting those from Iran. With Chinese components. They've also launched almost a dozen Shahed drones, including the nuclear power station. That was one of the targets. And the drones themselves were intercepted. However, the falling bits and pieces have damaged power lines and left hundreds of people without electricity, which, of course, as far as Russia is concerned, is just as well. In general, both sides have been relying heavily on drone warfare, and at this time, considering the difficulties with the bureaucracies and the logistics when it comes to getting aid into Ukraine, obviously, Ukrainian government is looking at ramping up its own manufacturing of native-made drones so that they don't have to wait. Now, remember I mentioned before, so far we had two sites that had really good maps showing the progress of the war in Ukraine. One is BBC, the other one is Al Jazeera. Why I said this before, I don't agree with Al Jazeera's interpretation of events, but their maps are pretty good. So this is a news source, Sky News. Again, not the most reliable source ever. However, they have this article today on their sites that shows the progression. So if you were confused where everything was going on, especially with the weird Ukrainian names of towns and cities, etc. They have a really good series of maps that show you date by date where things were, where they were this time last year, and where they are now. So this, the one I have on screen right now, is early days. This is when the invasion first began, and you can see where Russian troops were located and making advances, etc. So this is now, you can see that Russia has been pushed out of Ukrainian northeast and north and some of the east. So while it still has some control over the south and southeast, it is a very different picture today than it was a year and a half ago. And so I'm kind of hoping that this gives some perspective and some hope to people who feel like, nothing is going on, no progress is being made. You can definitely see when you put these maps side by side. And this is great. So this is an article about Russians who want to fight Putin. So for the longest time, there's been a lot of Russian propaganda that all Russians stand with Putin, that they would do anything for him. And some of them are like that. Some of it is true. However, as the war went on, as the whole world basically stared in horror, some Russian people defected. And now there is what they call the Siberia battalion. It is a battalion of soldiers formed of Russian citizens who oppose Putin's regime and are willing to fight. This, folks, is the real Russian opposition. It's not the schmucks like Navalny, who is a homophobe and a nationalist. This is the group to keep an eye on.